Every city has a rough time, and sometimes this rough time stays for a while. But when something like this happens, people need to come together and rebuild the city so it can be a paradise again. And that is precisely what the people of Detroit are doing. The largest city in Michigan, Detroit, has experienced a protracted deterioration in its economy, includes tens and thousands of vacant business spaces and abandoned structures. It also regarded as one of the last healthy cities in the United States due to a lack of access to inexpensive, nourishing food as well as food insecurity. 10 full-service grocery businesses have closed since 2020. This implies that many locals lack access to fresh food. According to a 2017 report from the Detroit Food Policy Council, 30,000 people lack access to a full-service grocery store. Detroit has been referred to as a food desert as a result. A food desert, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, is an urban region without easy access to a supermarket selling fresh and healthy produce within 1 mile. There are now more than 23.5 million Americans who live in food deserts, which is an increasing concern, with almost 50% of them having low salaries and residing in underdeveloped areas. These families might not have access to a car, and there might not be a nearby fresh food market at all. They're unable to get hold of wholesome meals. This harms health in a lifetime manner. Detroit also has one of the highest obesity rates in the country. 70% of Detroit residents, according to the Michigan Department of Community Health, are fat or overweight. However, Detroit is beginning to reverse this by turning vacant lots into urban farms, supplying nearby neighbors with free organic meals. This can be viewed as a significant achievement for any city, but especially for Detroit, where more than 550,000 people live in so-called food deserts. A 2-acre farm in the middle of Detroit produces more than 300 different kinds of crops that are given for free to the neighborhood. They have produced more than 50,000 pounds of food in the last 5 years, which has been distributed to more than 2,000 households within a 2-mile radius of the farm. Additionally, they provide some nearby shelters, churches, and food charities. Additionally, they sell 5% of their products to specialized suppliers like restaurants. The farm serves as a focal point of an agri-hood that's reviving Detroit's North End. A residential mixed-use development that's oriented toward agriculture is referred to as an agri-hood, which is short for an agricultural neighborhood. It has evolved into a form of green infrastructure that shields low-income neighborhoods from food deserts or enables the conversion of vacant land into productive urban farms. An agri-hood is a community development plan for neighborhoods and towns that may address food security. The Michigan Urban Farming Initiative has constructed a farming-focused community center that instructs in composting, nutrition, and sustainability. The farm has a sensory garden where children may learn about nature through tastes, touches, smells, and visuals, native plants, wildflowers, herbs, and a variety of berries, among others. The farm also contains a 200-tree high-density orchard with 5 distinct fruit tree kinds including apple, pear, plum, peach, and cherry. By expanding access to locally sourced fruits, the Michigan Urban Farming Initiative has been tackling structural inequity in the food chain and made possible by the farmers and volunteers at the farm who seek to supply conveniently available fresh veggies to the neighborhood by reusing vacant places in the city. The city has a total area of 142.87 square miles, of which 138.75 square miles are land and 4.12 square miles are water, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. The largest city in southeast Michigan and Metro Detroit is Detroit. It is located near the Great Lakes in the Midwest of the United States. The Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge is the only such sanctuary in North America and enjoys a unique setting right in the middle of a significant urban region. The refuge spans 48 miles of the Detroit River and western Lake Erie shoreline and is made up of islands, coastal wetlands, marshes, shoals, and waterfront property. The city is situated on a till plain made up primarily of glacial and lake clay, and it gently slopes from the northwest to the southeast. The Detroit Moraine, a prominent clay ridge that rises about 62 feet above the river at its greatest point and is the city's most noticeable topographical feature, is where the oldest parts of Detroit and Windsor are situated. The city's highest point, which measures between 675 and 680 feet in height, is located 3 blocks south of 8 Mile Road, directly north of Gorham Playground on the northwest side. Along the Detroit River, at a surface height of 572 feet, is where Detroit is at its lowest elevation. Between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, in the Detroit River, there lies a 982-acre island park called Belle Isle Park. The Detroit-based MacArthur Bridge serves as its landlink. The James Scott Memorial Foundation, the Belle Isle Conservatory, the Detroit Yacht Club on a nearby island, a half-mile beach, a golf course, a wildlife center, monuments, and gardens are just a few of the attractions in Belle Isle Park. From the island, one can see the skyline of the city. The original French design with avenues extending from the shoreline and true north-south roadways based on the Northwest Ordnance Township system are the two road systems that span the city. North of Windsor, Ontario, in the city, the only significant city along the US-Canada border where one must go south in order to enter Canada in Detroit. Detroit has 4 border crossings. The Ambassador Bridge, the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, and the Michigan Central Railway Tunnel all allow for the passage of trains to and from Canada. The Detroit-Windsor Truck Ferry, which is close to Zug Island, and the Windsor Salt Mine serves as the 4th border crossing. The southwest portion of the city, close to Zug Island, was built over 1,500-acre salt mine that lies 1,100 feet below the surface. Over 100 kilometers of roadways run through the Detroit Salt Company's salt mine in Detroit. Detroit used to be a prosperous metropolis that swayed to a soulful Motown beat and was powered economically by the auto industry, as we've already mentioned. The percentage of people who are food insecure has increased to around 20% after decades of reduction. More than a third of Detroiters reside more than a mile from a grocery store, earning those areas the unflattering moniker of food deserts, which are typically reliant on convenience stores, gas stations, and the snacks sold in liquor stores in place of fresh produce. Detroit's D-Town Farm is a food haven in the midst of this. Its 7 acres generate food and a path that allows the desert in the area to flourish. The Detroit Black Community Food Security Network, the farm's parent organization, has been enacting change since 2006, helping to employ thousands of Detroit residents in their own neighborhoods, converting vacant lots into gardens, and advocating for the city to permit, if not encourage, urban agriculture. The DBCFSN community comes together to celebrate urban agriculture, food security, and the lush green cracks in our overpaved city at D-Town Farm's annual Harvest Celebration, a 2-day event that is held in the month of September. As volunteers posted banners, chopped wood for an earthen pizza oven, pushed fruit carts toward a farm stand, and set up a welcome table under a great oak tree, you could hear the brilliant sounds of West African djembe and dundun drums floating from the surrounding stage. All of this should merely be credited to the efforts of the locals who are working to improve the city. Malik Yakini, who's playing a significant part in this, is one such person. Yakini founded DBCFSN, which strives to preserve control of the means of food production and distribution in the community after a career as a teacher and school administrator. They claim that there are lots of talented cooks in Detroit. However, you cannot cook in your kitchen if you wish to sell it. They need to reach 1,000 member owners and currently have about 400. That would demonstrate to potential investors in the neighborhood that there is support for this project and that the grocery store will be successful. We finished that 34,000 square foot building would serve as the hub for the production and distribution of food and would be the realization of the cooperative economic ideals Yakini has been pursuing for decades. These few small efforts that the people of Detroit are making will be the ones that would shape a better future for the city.